team now compared to last year.
And all of that starts in this game because they could challenge H2K, and that currently 6-2 are UOL, 7-1 H2K in this first game of the day. Let's get to those bans first of all. Nidalee, Lissandra, and Quinn coming out from Unicorns of Love as their bans. Then Kalista, Alistair just waiting on the last one from H2K. We'll see what's going to be.
Poppy is still open, Corki as well as a ban. Either H2K keeps both of them open and they take a trade, and then potentially get a Lucian pick as well. So if Unicorns goes Corki, lock in here, H2K gets Lucian. That's also why Unicorns are not going to fall into that trap, because it is so difficult with these 80 carry bans now, when there are 3 of them, Kalista, Lucian, Corki, in almost every single game. And you know Forgiven will go absolutely crazy on a Lucian. The one thing we have to question is, will Forgiven just go Caitlyn and then kind of nullify a little bit because he's such a good Caitlyn player? And then you get Corki now for Selfie instead of the mid lane. Does that have more impact for H2K than Unicorns taking a Corki and then giving Forgiven Lucian?
I'm not really sure. Forgiven will always perform regardless of what champion he's on. They could see a Caitlyn pickup here, but
wait for next rotation, obviously.
Yeah, I would like to see the Corki being picked up for sure, though.
Yeah, I think Corki, and then you go Graves or Elise as your jungle pick here. So you get high priority picks at the moment. You don't need to really get anything for support because Alistair is banned away. He's kind of the #1 guy there you normally pick. So I would definitely expect a jungle lock in. We haven't seen Graves from Rudy, so maybe you take Elise to kind of remove that from him. Or you go for a third option. There's a lot of good jungles open here. The jungle pool is very large at the moment, I feel. With Quinn also being played in jungle, Nidalee being a very contested pick. Kindred obviously is enabled like she was last week.
Yeah.
And she still is a fantastic jungler here in 6.2 despite some nerfs.
Fantastic jungler, of course, wasn't enabled a couple of weeks ago, but as like iPulse was saying over there, we saw a big drop-off in terms of how much people were picking the AP junglers and the marksman, kind of like in the same way with Kindred and Nidalee, but going to be picked up here, and with the Corki. On the other side, 2 fast lock-ins immediately, Ryze and Braum.
And I really like this now that we get further and further into the meta here, or we dig deeper into it, and the pick and ban phase starts evolving. So now it turns into, okay, we first pick Lucian, so we know they will take Corki. Okay, how can we deal with Corki? Let's pick a Braum. He's good against poke champions. So he can block some of the damage coming in from Corki. I do think he's slightly better against the likes of Lucian himself, or Misfortune maybe, blocking her ulti completely, than the continuing spam coming from a Corki. But then like it keeps evolving, and what are their next tier, or what's the next tier of picks we can get? Because there's so many now that you can actually get in the second rotation on blue side. You can still get top picks like Ryze and Braum, which has been such a good support here in Europe.
Yeah, it's kind of nice as an early pick though, because one, it takes away from the poke team if they go all the way down that route, so they don't also take the Braum as a front line, and they'll pick up the Tahm Kench with the Viktor. It also denies like going like a Nidalee, for example. Of course, Kindred already been picked up anyway, but could flex into the AD carry role, Corki mid, and then a Nidalee jungle. That's not what they're going for just yet, as the Viktor is there.
And we sometimes see teams be afraid to pick Viktor against the Braum because he can block the laser and therefore deny some of the wave clear that Viktor normally would always provide if it's against a siege composition. But obviously H2K can see Ryze and Lucian already there, so it's 2 low-range champions, nothing siege-related at all. So they're not really afraid of Viktor being in a bad spot when it comes to his wave clear, and therefore they can take him against Braum and don't really care about it, just get a safe pick in mid. You can move the Tahm Kench support now, or you can move him top lane, so you get the counter pick for ODOAMNE in this case. And I actually think the reason H2K values the top lane counter pick more than mid lane counter pick here is because, in my opinion, the star player for Unicorns of Love has been Vizicsacsi. This split here, he gets a lot more jungle attention, being a Diamond Prox, or Rudy, or Joko playing. Chachi's been getting the attention, so give a counter pick potentially for ODOAMNE to make sure he can get a good matchup, instead of risking Chachi counter picking him and then Unicorns camping that lane, and suddenly they get rolling like we've seen time and time again this split.
Hopefully that will even up the odds for him, because yeah, that could be a difficult lane and maybe shut down Unicorns of Love at its core, at its spine. But they do pick up the Ahri and Rek'say as their final rotation. So Rek'say, of course, going into the jungle, and Ahri into the mid lane, up against Viktor.
It's what we see sometimes against Viktor, some of these assassins coming in to pressure him in lane. He will be okay, he won't die, but it does get pushed down to his tower quite a bit, so it gives up some mid control in the start until he can start instant wave clearing. I want to see if H2K puts Tahm Kench top against Ryze. It's hard to stop the Ryze from farming, but you can actually set up ganks really easily. He can't really kill you. When he uses his entire mana pool you just pop your gray health and you're kind of like, well, there you go, you need to kill me a second time, and Ryze runs out of mana. But at the same time, you can also get a matchup where you have a scaling top laner who can actually bully him later on as a split push, and that's what H2K is doing with Fiora here. So they got the counter pick for ODOAMNE, or well, they got the option to counter pick. And as long as ODOAMNE doesn't fall behind early, he's gonna hit a point where he would just become a massive split pusher that Chachi has a hard time dealing with.
Actually, that matchup is very interesting. I can't wait to hit it when we get into game, at least in the first couple of minutes. A lot of cool interactions to go into that one. But yeah, back into the mid lane, you've got the Viktor against the Ahri, so control mage, and then maybe can try and pressure him out, as you alluded to before. And then the Tahm kench will be going to support this time.
And this Tahm kench pick can actually turn out to be the MVP pick for H2K, because Unicorns of Love has a lot of single target focus. Braum applying his passive on one target to CC him. Ryze, of course, aiming for one target mainly. Ahri the same. Like, yes, there's a little bit of AoE damage here and there, but most of it is pick one target and assassinate one target with this comp from Unicorns of Love. And the Tahm kench just completely shuts that down every single time.
Well, now you've seen the compositions, it's time to load up for UOL and H2K to load onto this clash for the top of the tables.
I'm here, go, 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 go.
Will H2K sit atop the table of Europe?
Yo, tank them, tank them. We'll have to see indeed if the Unicorns can pull off that coordination. Fight. Kill them all, kill them all. We need to fight now.
Yes.
Oh my god. We can't do that. Everyone, I block. We can finish. Finish them.
And we are hitting the rift. Unicorns of Love against H2K getting into this one. The first time they're meeting each other before everything resets tomorrow, Deficio.
Yeah, and these are the two teams that came into the EU LCS last year as some of the very exciting teams we were looking at back in spring. Unicorns obviously made it all the way to the final, lost to Fnatic 3-2, very close series actually. And H2K took the third place that season. And I remember coming into summer then, we expected a lot from both teams, but Unicorns just kind of stopped. You know, they never really progressed. They became a very weird team to look at, where H2K just kept getting better and better. Very crisp in the macro game, as we talked about before, with Prolly as the coach. And now coming into this split, I feel like both teams have been getting better and better. And I think H2K is currently, we could say with Ryu in the lineup, probably the best team, but G2 obviously wants to fight for that one. And Unicorns are a solid third team in Europe right now.
I mean, that's the most surprising thing, right? Like, both these teams have been getting better and better as the split's been progressing, and with substitutions. Selfie in the mid lane, and have adapting. They've even looked better from week to week with Selfie coming into the mix. Rudy in the jungle, they've been plugging and playing junglers and still doing exceptionally well. So it's just amazing that you can actually make these playstyles work and get ahead. We're actually going to see a clash up here as Vander turns the corner. Hylissang's going to see him. Here comes the auto attacks, the piercing light. Should be able to stack this one up. There's the sun going down. Hylissang will take a tongue lick. Forgiven will capitalize on that as always. And Hylissang will have to back away. Another fast bomb on the way out. Very nice.
So what we see here is the invade we've seen quite a few times now. When you swap top lane with your dual lane, you invade into the enemy blue buff to either stop the jungle top laner from doing their buff and force them away, or you stop the enemy from doing the grump if they're here with their dual lane. Unicorns were ready for it. They've been doing their scouting, and they just wait around the corner. Actually end up losing the trade. I think they should just apply Q from Braum, land one hit from Steelback, and then back away. Just to win a small trade, and that's it. Over-chasing is not in your favor. And lane is dead even. There's no experience advantage for any team in terms of camps, because they were both setting up basically for the same thing.
Oh, let's touch on masteries though, because we just saw the keystones coming in, and we literally just talked about the jungle masteries coming in. Yep. Keystones, both of them go for a strength of the ages, which is literally what we just said.
Game.
What you were saying this morning, Martin. And that just seems to be what every jungler is really trending towards.
It's just so good. You get so many free stats from it, and other keystones like Thunderlords has been getting slowly nerfed a little bit. And just getting that flat HP is so important. Allows you to build a little more aggressive on certain junglers, or allow you to play more aggressive on the likes of Kindred, who is technically an AD carry, 300 HP, it's worth like 800 gold just from a keystone. And already early on you get it stacked very quickly, like Jankos at this point is already on 50 bonus HP, and he's now gonna find Rudy in the river. They're both fighting for the same Rift Scuttle.
Well, they're both going to place down wards and see each other, but Jankos seems to get the advantage here. Rudy has not unburrowed, so he's still able to track him.
Well, Rudy has to back away because if you look top, his lane is being pushed into tower, so he couldn't really get any assistance if needed. And therefore, Rudy backs away. Good for Jankos. Had the mark on it as well, and he can even stop Rudy from doing blue buff potentially.
Rudy, he drags him into the bush, so he's cut the vision, and Jankos doesn't have a wall because he just used it to secure the crab, so Rudy will get away with this one, and Jankos will just take the experience from the small sentinels. He now has Vander coming in because, as you just mentioned, they have the top lane pushed, so the support is free to push up. Rudy will take a bit of damage. The flash out by Jankos. He was looking for another dive, but last week that didn't go so well for him, so he opts away from it this time.
Yeah, Jankos is super aggressive in the early game. He's going.
Just kidding, I'm going back in. He dodges the charm.
Now that is so risky. No flash with 4 minutes in between 2 towers.
It's the mind game, though. It's like he would never go back in now without flash and as Kindred.
Sure.
I
like the fact that he values trading his flash for Rudy so highly that he went for that play in the first place. Because normally jungler would just have backed away and said, okay, let's not do anything risky here, and I have my flash, you have your flash, it's okay. But knowing when he flashes forward, he obviously can't one-shot Rudy. And he was just going to trade flashes, and he went for it.
So he made the play and it worked out. We'll have to see in the next 5 minutes while we have that timer ticking down whether that is the correct option. Additionally, because the junglers have gone through Stem for the Ages, they most likely take the Insight Mastery, so they actually have a low cooldown on Flash. So that's something to keep in mind. It will take it down by 45 seconds.
That's quite a lot.
Which is a lot of numbers.
But it's also very interesting to always look at how a team like H2K plays on the map, because the meta is all about finding one strong lane you can play around. Unicorns are doing exactly the same here. Their strong lane at this point is the bot lane where Chachi's winning. So Rudy goes bot lane to camp, to deny CS, to apply more pressure. Instead of going top lane, where his dual lane is currently being pushed back and it's very hard to set up a gank, you always look for the strongest lane. So H2K were playing top side because they were winning 2v2, and therefore Jankos could be aggressive and invading to the jungle. Rudy then goes bot side and says, okay, we will mirror, we're currently winning on the other side. And obviously Ryze having a great start. Fiora needs a little bit of time before she really wants to start being a bully against Ryze.
Additionally, because it is a ranged matchup and also it's Ryze, he can punish very hard when ODOAMNE goes for a CS.
Yeah.
So sometimes ODOAMNE may even just use his lunge to get in range and CS the minions from like maximum range and then back away. Otherwise, Chachi can punish with Rune Prison. ODOAMNE can try and read this with Riposte, but because Rune Prison is an instant spell, you have to predict and you can't do it on reaction. Chachi's actually going to find Jankos. He gets the Rune Prison down, and Rudy's now coming in as well. I don't think we're really going to see that much happening, or maybe we will, as ODOAMNE has the ultimate. He flashes, comes in with the lunge, and pops the grand challenge. Can he actually get these procs off? Rudy is so low, but he comes in with one last lunge to finish him off for first blood.
So H2K clearly are expecting Rudy to be very aggressive in the early game. They're stopping the recall from Chachi. Massive minion wave coming. I think Chachi's dead here.
Yeah, he's just dead. There's nothing he can do. Riposte comes out, and that's the safest dive you'll ever see. Or is it? Because ODOAMNE will lunge away. The auto attack from the tower almost connected, but he's out.
So let's look at this entire early game strategy from H2K.
Or not, because Fox is getting engaged. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. He's safe. Unless he goes back in. Okay,
He's just poking me. Just wants to see if he can force him away before he's level 6 and push it out and then go back to base. But the bot lane here, I feel like this whole setup, it all starts with Jankos in the jungle, where on purpose, again, he's saying, I want to trade my flash for your flash. Because with Kindred, you have so much mobility anyway with jumping with your Q as long as you jump around your W there. So you have extra mobility, where Rek'Say only has the tunnel to go forward. So once you get caught in a 1v1, 2v2 situation, Kindred can always abuse you for not having that flash. And then because Rudy's such an aggressive early jungler, because he's straight out of solo queue, he will obviously look for ganks. Jankos reads it, he finds him, and then they go aggressive instant, like, oh, I'm gonna just flash forward. So H2K very clearly said, we have a more mobile jungler, we can trade flashes, and we can look for you, and we can win that 1v1, 2v2, and use that to our advantage.
The crowd's getting very hyped over the fact they're winning by 6%. But yeah, H2K do win the fan vote.
Unicorns always have a lot of fans.
They do indeed, but being beaten out ever so slightly in this matchup. As a result of the discussion you were just having, that almost resulted in a 2-level differential as Rudy just picked up the red, and Jankos is going to see that now. So now he's level 5 versus Jankos is 6, but he has more experience in that level 6. So there is such a big experience difference between these two junglers because of the playstyle they've been running, and Jankos has been foiling Rudy at basically every turn.
Yeah, and this is such a problem for the Unicorns of Love because it means every lane has to be a little bit more scared. When they're trying to push out, knowing there's a high chance that Kindred is always running around in your jungle behind you, and she is stronger than your jungle at the moment. So if you have a 2v2 fight, you should expect to lose it. And that makes you just play more passive because you don't want to take these fights 1v1 without knowing where the enemy jungler can be. And right now, Jankos hasn't shown himself. He's sitting on red buff. So obviously not a threat, but we can see that Unicorns can't.
Yeah. Almost a 2-level difference. He'll level up to level 7 now, that being Vizicsacsi onto those minions. But ODOAMNE just had that 1 kill in the bottom lane, or I guess the 2. He was able to get that big lead after pushing all the minions into tower. That being said, he got the experience and not the minions, so the CS lead actually goes to Chachi.
Well, ever so slightly. Keep in mind,
Yeah.
ODOAMNE was down like, what, 10-15 CS before the fight. Chachi will also get the wave here, try and get that lead back. But this was the first game Unicorns actually didn't get first blood. Every other game, they've gotten first blood. Analysts just talked about it. 7 of those games, it was the jungler who was part of that first blood. Rudy was looking for it, but H2K just read him like a book, traded that flash early, and they killed him. So really smart setup. And this is what I like about H2K. I feel like there's always a meaning behind what they're doing. I feel like they've planned it out. They're willing to take trades we normally don't see, because they think like a step further.
Yeah, we've got Jankos coming down, but as we approach the 10-minute mark, Unicorns of Love have only been down 800 gold at maximum at 10 minutes, and this will be the biggest deficit for them in this game. And that statement is now true, with 1,500 gold advantage to H2K. So, definitely being challenged here, not only just the first bloods. Bot lane Chachi is safe now. We did see Jankos roaming down.
Yeah, he's constantly in the jungle, just looking for Rudy. It's all he wants to do, is just find Rudy, allow his laners to play more aggressive, see if he can steal away more farm. Oh, it's also fantastic for Kindred if you can work in the enemy jungle, finding those stacks for yourself early on. Currently, Jankos is sitting on 2 stacks because he had Rudy marked from the start and he got that kill onto him. It's looking good for H2K. Great start. Everything built around Jankos.
Yeah, he's taking
And he's a crazy haircut.
Oh, yeah, he didn't change it.
Nope.
Good stuff.
He's talking about it backstage, but apparently he didn't do it.
He's like, nah, man, I can't go on stage like that. But he's going full Super Saiyan for this game.
And it's working so far.
It is. But yeah, that was a 3rd stack, I believe, because that was marked. So yeah, pretty good start. So ODOAMNE has picked up the Tiamat as the first item. It looks like he's going for the Ravenous Hydra route rather than Titanic first, instead of swapping once he reaches that. And then he'll jump up to Chachi here, actually get a lot of damage out. He's being grand challenged, tries to get against the wall, but Chachi will block it. Nice movement there.
Again, it's just because H2K constantly have so much vision in the enemy jungle. You start playing the game where if you don't see him on any of your wards in the jungle, you know basically exactly where he's supposed to be. So if you look now at your minimap, they can see around the Gromp and blue buff, they can see close to the wolf camp, they can see the raptor camp. When they don't spot Rudy in any of those, there's basically only one place he can be, and that's all the way down the bottom lane near the crooks, but there's double pink ward then in the river. H2K saw him now and pinged him, so they know, okay, Rudy's on top side. And they can really just constantly follow him around. Either you see him or you just know exactly where he's supposed to be because you didn't show on any of the wards. And that means ODOAMNE can just keep playing very aggressive bot lane. Because Rudy showed top and Jankos is coming down now, setting up a potential dive. Or if Rudy uses his ulti down to defend this bot side, Jankos is there to attack him instantly.
Gonna clear out the ward. He may carry on going. Yeah, he's actually going around.
If it is.
He clears out the tunnel though, so I actually will alert them to his presence. Yeah, and immediately Rudy reacts on a tunnel that's very near, so this could go very wrong, but he's sitting on a ward.
Yeah, I don't think Jankos knew there was another tunnel just behind. I think he just wanted to try and deny that one route to the bot lane and set up a potential dive. Because ODOAMNE is strong enough to just go in with Jankos and pick up that kill. And I want to see, I think he's still going to go Titanic Hydra. He just wants, whatever that metal glove is called.
Jordan's fist.
The fist.
The fist.
We'll go Ravenous.
Jarm's about to give, well, Jankos is about to try and get in on Fox here. Placing down more wards and looking for this camp. It's not actually marked, but he just wants to take it away. Trying to deny the razor sharp maybe from Rudy, who is sitting right over the wall. That's smited away, so he has the buff. And he gets away. Back back into his jungle. Rudy will take his red buff here. So in champions, like you were saying to Fisher, that you feel Chachi is like the lane for Unicorns of Love right now.
Yeah.
And that we had that initial lane swap from both teams. So do you feel like H2K have done enough in this game and will continue to put pressure on that lane? Or what does it need to do from here?
I mean, you just saw Jankos was on the bottom side when ODOAMNE had an option to go for a dive. He was instantly there. With the wave, pressured Chachi, forcing Rudy to come down defensively, and ODOAMNE can just keep going aggressive because they keep having vision on Jankos is here again now.
But now Rudy is again there to counter gang, and Jankos will just have to jump away. ODOAMNE is taking a bunch of damage. Lamb's Respite is still available, but he doesn't really want to use it in this situation. Yet another flash from ODOAMNE, the Prey Seeker, and maybe they can close in around him, with Fox looking to set up the trap from the sidelines. They've already backed off the flash. The Spirit Rush will take one down, and Jankos, there's nothing he can do to stay alive. Vizicsacsi will stay here. Chachi is a little bit low, but he's starting to vamp from his ultimate. That was a 1-for-2 trade. Rudy, his life for those 2 kills.
I really like the flash forward from Chachi here because he wanted to get that Kindred ulti out of the way. So by flashing forward, knowing, okay, I might not get the kill, I can force some cooldowns, allowing the Ahri then to roam from mid lane and pick up a very, very easy kill. But yes, H2K, they were doing the right thing. They kept playing around, hold on them, let him be aggressive, let him try and duel with Chachi as much as possible. Issue this time was that the mid lane couldn't roam as fast for H2K as it could for the Unicorns of Love. So you see the trade. Look at Selfie here on your minimap. He's actually canceling his recall, and then he's running back to the lane. And that's the opposite of what he actually wanted to do when this trade started, because now Unicorns also feel very confident they can keep chasing. And just wait for Chachi. He knows Riposte is ready. He knows that Kindred has ulti, but he just wants them to use it. So now all the defensive tools are gone, and who shows up? And Assassin's picking up the easiest kill of her life.
You also saw the movement from Chachi, which was really sweet. He immediately used the Rune Prison, knowing that she would riposte, then backed away as he was using the animation. So even if he got stunned, he would have been either out of tower range or at the very edge of it. And as it was, ODOAMNE just misfired anyway, so it was a perfect play coming in from Chachi.
Oh,
Jankos may even be caught out. Hylissang locks him up, the Glacial Fissure. I don't think there's anything you can do about this. There's no Lamb's Respite. Vander's too slow to the party, but maybe they can punish. ODOAMNE has immediately been exhausted. Fox is there from the back lines, and he'll be gobbled up by Vander and will try to waddle to victory. He's so low, but will use this crab to jump away with the lunge and get the cooldown, the extra 60%. That was a nice pickup there, but no punish from H2K.
Unicorns of Love getting a bit more confidence, adapting in game as well. They know Jankos is constantly looking toward in the jungle, and this time they were waiting for him. Jump him instantly, he had no flash. Don't even think he had ulti ready at that time. Ends up going down and giving a kill. Double TP use for both teams, so that will even out ODOAMNE!
Oh, the reverse swing of the Orb Deception. ODOAMNE just straight up drops to Fox.
I like the small roams he's making around this mid lane here. Being the first one to leave, chasing out for another kill, opens up for Unicorns to push in. Selfie's there for wave flip, but he has to be careful.
Fox is looking for another drop here. And Selfie will live to fight another day. Jankos is there this time with Lamb's Respite. Last time, he used it. That was one of the very few times Lamb's Respite does not save your life. When you're running away and will have to run out of that circle, not helpful. But here in the top lane, Forgiven, maybe one of the few times he would ever be caught, is going to be saved by Tahm kench.
And we talked about, you know, playing around your strong lane earlier on in the game, and you can see how these teams are constantly changing the lanes they pressure. Because, again, there are certain times where one champion then gets a bit stronger, so like when the Ravenous Hydra was completed for ODOAMNE, he had that early kill, he could be aggressive. That was now the strong lane for H2K, where bot lane was just kind of going even 2v2. But sometimes when you make the right play, see what happens here, actually, Forgiven taking a lot of damage.
Just enough mana for Valkyrie.
Sometimes when you make the right play, the other team can then fairly easily predict the right play, because they would have done the same, and they keep talking about, you know, what's the next play they can make, what can we do, how do we counter it, and that's why Unicorns were ready down the bottom lane with Rudy. This time saying, okay, he's gonna go aggressive on Fiora, be there for counter gank, roam from mid, that's how you get the kills.
Hey, that's what Rudy said in the interview, man. He was like, look, several steps ahead. And that's the team is already looking at these different scenarios that can happen. So Unicorns of Love are definitely already doing that. H2K, though, are responding in the top lane.
Got the package.
Got the tunnel.
I think they're just going to pressure them, see if they can get them away from tower, maybe. What you can do so well with these ranged junglers we see a lot, like Nidalee, Graves, and Kindred, is you can just move them into a lane. You don't have to gank, you just move into the lane. You group up with the AD carry support, and you just push a tower. You just instant push down for
Oh, we're going in, boys.
Whoa,
Onto Steelback, and he's going to have to kite away. Rudy is there, trying to block up some of the damage, but Vander's going to give him a lick here. Chachi will back away. Another rocket landing onto Rudy as he escapes. The poke just doesn't stop when it's forgiven time.
That surprised me, him just jumping forward. Suddenly Unicorn's like, oh, what's going on here? 3 guys turning around. H2K get tower. It's a good move, adding in Jankos. They've been slowly chipping away in that tower over and over, and this is your reward, the Rift Herald. When there's nothing else to do on the map for like 20 seconds, and the other team can't punish you, you get your Rift Herald.
Doom's Eve over to Jankos. He'll get that enhanced recall. Look, Vander even started before him, and he'll be back to base faster than him. Unreal.
And he will run faster.
Yeah, 40 movement speed is actually a lot. Chachi is good. And ODOAMNE will continue to back off. And despite all the action that's gone in the bottom lane, Chachi is still ahead in terms of farm, and is still able to duel ODOAMNE, or at least keep him at range. In an all-in, ODOAMNE may still get ahead, but it then comes down to the Grand Challenge mechanics and whether Chachi can block one by standing against the wall. But,
yeah. And so much for Fiora. One of the reasons she becomes such a monster later on in the game is she can out-sustain almost anything in these 1v1s. Ryze is obviously very focused on being able to burst down in a short amount of seconds. So as long as ODOAMNE is tanky enough to survive that initial burst, he can then lifesteal back. And then the Ryze can't really kill the Fiora, but for now it is still possible for Chachi. You just always have to be so careful, because as you said, room presence gets blocked or whatever, and ODOAMNE gets onto you. The damage from Fiora is so high against a no tanky, or no armor.
no tanky.
No tanky Ryze. No tanky items on a Ryze. Yep. He is very squishy. And we see Jankos continue to run with Forgiven. This is something H2K does so often. You play 3 lanes at once, and then the objective is again, find the lane where you can make a play.
Here's the one-on-one.
ODOAMNE is there.
Out of the way.
Oh, so
ticking
close.
down. ODOAMNE is still alive. Fox wants him, but he's simply not in range, and ODOAMNE will walk all the way back to base. Make sure he won't recall in a place he might get smite.
Really is a problem for H2K that they had Fiora falling behind now due to the counter gank from Unicorns. Because ODOAMNE is supposed to be the guy sitting and putting pressure in his lane. And then Jankos is supposed to running with Forgiven to have a strong 3-man group with double range that can push towers. Always chip away in these side lane turrets. Does get shut down a bit because once ODOAMNE is forced back to base, the entire 1-3-1 kind of breaks. H2K has to push back or move back a little bit, and then wait for ODOAMNE to return to his lane and push it out.
Hylissang teleporting back to base. 2 kills currently on Fox. Most of those have just been from him making plays.
He's just been roaming.
Yeah, he's just been roaming about, getting the one-on-one kills. And as we approach the mid game, with these 2 compositions in mind, what are the objectives for both of the teams? How do you think they're going to play out the next couple of minutes?
Well, that's going to be the super awesome thing, because H2K, when you have a Viktor, you keep him mid lane. The member going mid for Unicorns a lot is going to be the Lucian. But then you have this side lane fight that we're going to see over and over and over, where Unicorns a lot will have a Chachi with TP and then an assassin. So that's a very explosive side lanes they have where they can kill people. Where H2K is more looking to move Forgiven around to chip on towers, not to necessarily try and fight someone 1v1. So H2K is looking to take control over 2 lanes basically, and then have ODOAMNE sit in the other lane with TP and he can always join in, and then you can apply pressure on towers. Selfie just wave clears mid. That's basically his job. Just wave clear mid 24/7. While Unicorns are looking to make kills, they're looking to create plays with the Ahri, with Chachi on this Ryze. So we will see H2K try and predict where's the pick gonna happen. Can we then react to it in time, take something on the other side of the map, or maybe have multiple members there and surprise you? Or can Unicorns find that one pick? Because if they get 1 kill in a side lane, all the lanes start breaking, and then suddenly Unicorns can keep pushing the lanes up and apply pressure on at least 1 tower.
The whole plan collapses. And so far, Fox has done a very good job of that, so that's a very real possibility. And of course, Chachi will just start scaling up more and more as we get into the late game. He's already sitting on that Rod of Ages and also into the tier, so most likely going for his next big item here on top of that.
I like this play though from H2K. Again, it's all about moving Forgiven around and get him in a lane where he can hit a tower. Mid tower is the only one now available as a tier 1 he can hit. That's why they move him in. Jankos is here again, guys. Remember this. When it is a 1-3-1, you do not need the 3 to be in mid lane or top lane.
Oh, here comes the one.
Chachi!
Chachi And one Viktor was popped by ODOAMNE. He just got blown up in the one-on-one.
This is what we talked about, you know? Unicorns have the side lanes that want to kill people. H2K want to focus on towers. And now Unicorns gotta kill. That's a tower. So someone has to go bot lane now for H2K to defend the next turret. But if they do that, suddenly Unicorns can either push top or mid tower. So this is a problem for H2K no matter what. ODOAMNE is dead for another 20 seconds. This tower is gonna take quite some damage from Chachi. Sadly, no wave for him is coming. And then everything breaks for H2K. They're forced really far back on the map suddenly to sit at their own tier 1 towers. They're trying to make a play in Chachi now.
They try to make it happen. There comes the exhaust, and Chachi, all of his damage, or a lot of it is being mitigated. There's the Lamtress by Vander. Will pick him up, try and spin him outside of the circle. But Rudy's there with the knockup and comes in with the one-on-one. Now Rudy in his 1-on-2. I don't think there's much he can do apart from knock up Jankos and run for his life. But Vander, if he gets one lick, he'll be able to lock him down. But not today. Tries to get the Void Rush, but he takes some damage. That's not how it works. And there's another lick coming in from Vander to keep him in place. So Jankos can pick up the kill. Ultimately a 2-for-1. And H2K, they stick to play.
It was a 2-for-1, but look here in the mid lane. Steelback took down a mid tower. So definitely a win for Unicorns of Love. They got bot tower, an early kill. So we're gonna see the move now for H2K. This is what happens when this 1-3-1 for you breaks. The other split pushing team got the kill, so you have to send guys down to defend. They make a play on Chachi. But if you look at your minimap now, the rest of Unicorns of Love is just running straight for mid tower. Selfie isn't there to wave clear, so it's an easy one for them. Despite giving 2 kills, you take a mid tower. Definitely worth it for the Unicorns of Love. And it's all built around Vizicsacsi, solo killing ODOAMNE. Baron is being started by H2K.
And it's almost down. It is down. Completely uncontested as you see this replay completely roll out.
How did they just get a free Baron there?
Well, maybe they can pick up Vander and take it off one member, or not. He escapes as well. Everyone just escapes, and H2K, I guess they just ran at it.
Well, they had 2 kills. Chachi was actually dead for 46 seconds. So again, we end the mid game with the longer death timers. You get really punished if you do die. I guess H2K honestly just rushed straight towards the Baron after picking up the 2 kills, saying, okay, you get mid tower, we can take the Baron. And they pick it up. 40 seconds on Rudy as well when he died. These long death timers in the mid game make it super, super risky.
Yeah. It's very difficult to CSI the crime scene as well because they didn't really leave any fingerprints, so they just kind of got their Baron left. Huh. Unicorns of Love, though, are about 1,000 gold behind, but it's just down to what H2K do with his Baron, how much they get off his power play, because this could be the big swing in the game. Fox almost gets locked up here by Vander as he's chasing after. Jankos may be able to seal the deal, though, as the laser coming out. Wolf comes in over the wall, but Kindred unable to finish him off. Fox gets away with his life and still has Flash and Ignite.
And everything can change so quickly. It looked really good for Unicorns of Love, but the 3 members were apparently not able to actually punish H2K or pressure them at all around that Baron. And suddenly it actually pays off for H2K picking up those 2 kills and just rushing straight over there.
Destroyed.
Interesting turn of events. And now they can just keep pushing down. You got Corki, you have Kindred, you have a lot of damage on these towers.
Well, it's still a real heads-up call to be like, well, we got 2 picks and lost 1 for it. Let's immediately go for Baron at like 25 minutes.
45 seconds death timers. Because Chachi also was very high level, obviously for sitting in that side lane very early. I guess normal level for... He wasn't denying anything.
Chaos Storm. Almost enough there. Selfie will get charmed into Fox. Steelback taking a bit of damage from Jankos off to the side. H2K's front line is tanky enough to take the hits as they take down the tower. And currently, H2K, after all of that, just are now leading in terms of turrets and dragons and gold.
It's been a very good Baron for H2K. Getting the gold from the Baron itself. Picked up 3 towers as well, 2 in the mid lane, 1 in the bottom lane. If I believe correct, actually 2 in the mid lane it was, I believe, only. Still a lot of gold for them. Now the dragon. And most importantly, they stopped the bleeding. Because they were the ones losing side lanes. Chachi solo killing ODOAMNE. And that kind of gets completely nullified with that Baron play from H2K.
Really big. It's definitely stopped some of the weaknesses, as you just mentioned, and won those side lanes, but also gave them some time to carry on itemizing, get over that kind of window where you're weaker than your opponent. Now Forgiven is sitting on 2.5 items. So is the top laner of ODOAMNE.
This has still really been a game so much about the 2 junglers. Especially how Jankos could use Kindred and the extra mobilities, as we talked about earlier. Trade flashes early on, then look for that 2v2 fight. Always group up with Forgiven and poke down on towers. He's been part of taking top tower, bot tower. Like, Jankos has been everywhere, honestly, in this game. 100% kill participation, picked up 4 kills as well himself. Right now, he's the man for H2K, and he's going for the top lane.
ODOAMNE though, and it's 1-on-1. There's the Lamb's Respite, maybe the most annoying spell in the game. And Fox, will he be able to get a kill and return the flash after? And the grand challenge, he's got Grievous Runes, so he'll take a little less damage here. Rudy will have to back away. Chaos Storm comes out. Steelback will take a bit of punishment. Hylissang comes into the mix, and so does Chachi. He's right in the middle of the fray, but he does not get anyone down. He's just CC to high heavens, and he can't do anything. A 2-for-0 and the top tower, and the recall coming out. ODOAMNE has teleport just coming up. Everything is coming up gravy for H2K.
And it looked really good for Unicorns of Love, but now everything is just falling apart. That Baron going down here. The lanes are being pressured. Jankos is moving between. You should never fight in that 1v1 situation because you know backup from H2K is nearby. I just want to see this again because I think ODOAMNE actually flashed out the return from the orb coming in from the Ahri, like the Q on the way back, and he survived because of it.
I mean, that's the true damage, so most of it comes from that. Hylissang trying to block some of the damage from the tower, but he's taking so much damage from H2K as he just pounds away at the shield. Quickly breaking, not unbreakable anymore. Now he goes back to base.
So little Unicorns can do now that Corki, Viktor, and Kindred are able to move. So let's see it again. This is the 1v1, which you cannot take because you have no control of your own jungle. So you should know the enemy is coming. Let's see where the Q is coming. Did actually flash on the other side of it. Probably would have survived anyway because he got the heal.
Yeah. Additionally, by flashing behind him, he got another proc of Vital, so he gave another second of healing. Yeah, correct.
The heal coming very quick. So good flash from ODOAMNE. But overall, just a fight that Unicorn should never have picked in the first place. But right now, they've just lost so much anyway. That's looking very, very difficult. Because imagine before, when a Viktor has to run to a side lane to defend against an Ahri, it's a great lane for Unicorns to play around. They can set up a play there easy. But that again is completely gone. It happened 5-6 minutes ago. Ever since H2K just been getting more and more gold. 7 towers to 3.
Actually ridiculous. I actually wonder what the Baron power play is if we can get that at some point, because that was one of the biggest swings I've seen in the game for a while. Off just something that you wouldn't expect to be converted into a Baron. Just so well played by H2K.
Again, it's easy to forget the death time.
Yeah, that ripple effect was really insane.
Especially when 2 guys went down. Now, Baron is up in 1 minute. It is a spectator bug that we don't have the Dragon and Baron timer. The players can see it, but we just cannot. So, about 50 seconds from now, Baron will respawn, meaning H2K can decide to just chill, set up for Baron, play around that one, either force a fight and take the Baron, or just force a fight and get the fight, or you just take the Baron for free. You don't have to overcommit to anything right now.
Unforgiven takes a tiny bit of hope from Steelback, and Tahm Kench has got his back, so, or their back, I guess he's riding Earth. Jankos going to be coming in here.
Yeah, and I think Unicorns will really struggle to win team fights. I know obviously they're very far behind in gold, but even if it was even in gold, just judging from the fact that Vander is here. So again, which target Ahri picks will get eaten by Vander, and you remove so much of that assassination potential, allowing Selfie then to be a stronger team fighting mage. Corki is so extremely strong at this point as well. It just becomes very difficult for Unicorns of Love then to pick off a target. Because ODOAMNE is just going to keep sitting in the side lane here and just being as annoying as possible.
Now H2K with 3 members chasing after Chachi. Pops the ultimate for the extra movement speed.
Fine time.
But yeah, what can the rest of his team do with it? They're going towards the Baron area. Only Jankos is there, but unfortunately the Scuttler has been taken.
Just ran back.
Wow, how did that even happen? Benny Hill commenced the music, ladies and gentlemen. Chachi's still trying to escape. How's the Seraph?
Baron is being started out by Unicorns.
Can you get him? He flashed forwards for it.
Chachi's out alive. Baron is being started. H2K is coming now, but Forgiven is very far away. Just commit to the Baron now. Do not jump out of this pit. Just commit to that Baron.
Pop ultimate. They've jumped off Baron, and now everyone's closing in. I'm not even sure Unicorns win this fight, but they kill Jankos before the fight really starts. Rudy has been grand challenged. ODOAMNE struggling to get a rain, but he has the heal. Steelback cut off from the pack, and he'll go down. The play was there, Martin.
I know it could have been a 50-50 smite, but if you disengage against the Kindred with an ulti, you buy time for the rest of H2K to then come up and stop you. You just have to take that one. You are almost 10,000 gold behind.
Yeah, the 50% is better than the 100% loss rate when you go for the fight.
You're good at math, Paul. So
Thank you, Martin. Comes from the heritage. But now Chachi is trying to take away these minions. Hylissang kind of blocks some of this up for Fox. Now H2K will be backing away. I think this should be any of those aggressions. Dragon has just spawned. That'll be the third of the game for H2K. Remember, the changes have not yet come on. That is 6-3, where they have some nice extra juicy stats. But in this current one, you're only really looking at aspect for it to be useful. But they're going to see that last trade happen.
The only person who should go out here is Hylissang. Just go out, use your ulti on Jankos, and try and zone him off the Baron. The rest can finish it. Otherwise, you will lose the fight no matter what.
Yep.
Chachi had just gone back to base, so he was like trying to be ready with his teleport. But this time his team's been tanking Baron, they're fighting around it as well. It's a tricky one in-game, because like these calls are made split second. You know, do we finish? Do we try and kill the enemy jungler? Problem is, when you are this far behind, sometimes you gotta take a chance.
Well, Unicorns of Love, they saw the option. Ryze didn't take it. Oh, Chachi being jumped on here by ODOAMNE. Maybe they can get a pick and return. Hylissang comes out and they get the shutdown. This will be a 5 versus 4 on Chachi. He's down to 50%, but the big burst to take him out is kind of away. Selfie's the only one who can really do it now. And Jankos, with the rest of the team, is being zoned away from this middle tower.
What the hell was that from ODOAMNE?
IDK.
He's like obviously full damage. Just jumps forward, not knowing where unicorns are. And Chachi's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna snare you, and then my team is gonna kill you. And now we can go Baron again.
Unlucky.
We have 30 seconds on ODOAMNE. He has TP ready. But again,
should they commit?
Use Hylissang to zone. Rest can commit then. But if they want to take a 50-50 now,
oh, Hylissang's taking so much damage, and Vander's going forward. Selfie looking for the right place to ultimate. Rudy is going to jump out of the pit as well. The Storm has already been used, and now H2K will actually turn around to the Baron. Oh, what is this? What's going on?
TP. He's up in
Fox jumps over, but he's gravity fielded. He's been stunned out. Chachi jumps into the fight. Vander's dropping low. Here comes the Greyhound. ODOAMNE's still alive. Lazarus fight is keeping everyone alive from H2K, but now it's down. Unicorns of Love. They're closing in on ODOAMNE. He's almost dead again, but Vander can't save him. They'll have 3 for 1. Forgiven and Jankos backing away, and now maybe they can secure the Baron. Maybe.
A lot of split decisions again for Unicorns. Now they're actually committed to the Baron and allowed H2K to move very close. And Fox Steelback is going aggressive.
Oh, the cutting, the flash. He changed position. Steelback coming up big.
That's a Baron now for Unicorns of Love. This game has gone crazy.
What am I watching?
I mean, so entertaining to watch Unicorns trying to make these decisions around the Baron. This time they actually commit to Baron itself instead of trying to jump on H2K. They still take it down so slow because they lack the damage from their mid laner at the same time. So now they're setting up for a fight, but also Baron at the same time. Actually allowing H2K to move in and push them off. And now ODOAMNE is there with TP. That's why H2K wants to fight. And then flash charm onto Selfie. Good damage. Vander hasn't eaten anyone yet. There we go, he gets one. And we just see Unicorns just jumping in. Actually, looking at this, ODOAMNE came in very late. And also, Chachi is going to be able to have more of an impact on this Ryze. So as long as Unicorns don't commit everything onto one target that Vander can eat, and they can play the fights like this. But ODOAMNE, very late TP for him. I think he had to see if the fight was actually happening or not.
Well, it did.
It did happen.
And he lost
and he came in and he died.
Yeah. Stats Guru, Spellsy, has just informed me that Chachi dealt 5k damage in that last fight. He was literally just standing in the middle of everyone and just chaining spells off on all of H2K. And that was fairly grouped up as well, so they were probably taking the AoE from the ultimate. But yeah, the most damage in the fight coming in for Chachi. And he was the lane we were looking at, and the guy you mentioned in Champion Select, he has definitely turned up this game. I was so excited to cast this one. I knew it was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be this good with so many swings.
So many back and forth from both teams. We've seen some good decisions, we've seen some bad decisions.
But we've seen capitalizing on those bad decisions as well.
That's very true. That is very true. We get a lot of good fights.
Yeah, one of the concepts I've kind of been looking at is whether a team can catch a throw. We look at throws all the time, but can they actually catch it? And both the teams have been very good at capitalizing on those mistakes. So that really is one of the things that determines a good team, or defines one rather. H2K also just defended that push, as we saw on screen. Unicorns are unable to break that shell. That is those inhibitor turrets, but maybe they'll be more successful in those inner turrets in mid lane and top lane.
And because they were so far behind, this Baron, combined with the towers they've now picked up, evens out the gold. So it's super, super close, almost 40 minutes in. It's very rare we see the gold being this even between two teams. And then it comes down to like that one big team fight. Does anyone make a mistake? You know, Vander eats the wrong target and then one of his members dies, or does Chachi try and flash in and then he gets CC'd and goes down instantly because yes, he has a QSS, yes, he's gonna have the shield from his Seraphs. Late game still, against like a Viktor, the Corki burst, there's enough damage on the side of H2K to pop any target on the Unicorns of Love. So we're gonna have these very, very interesting team fights where we might see someone being afraid to commit, which can actually lose you the game, because if you have that opening where you can catch out someone, you gotta take it. That's the tricky thing. That's why it's so fun being a caster and a viewer, because we can just sit here and judge the players.
Like, we have all the information.
We don't
you should have done this, man.
Yeah,
Why didn't you do it?
We don't have to do it in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, the players, the only information they have comes in from the vision and what they've determined and deduced from the last location of their opponents, etc. And currently, H2K have a lot of those wards within their jungle. There is top lane pushing. They don't even have ZZ Rot, so that was just set up by themselves. The manual way. That
one we'll talk about, hopefully, in some games later, ZZ Rot. New interesting item, not a new item actually, but item we see more and more in solo queue when we've been looking at a lot of the accounts, what people are using. Highest win rate champion in the game is Udyr, jungle with ZZ Rot portal.
Yep, we were opening some gates yesterday.
It was fantastic.
It was. Indeed. We will touch on that later, however, if we get ZZ Rot picked up.
Hopefully someone wants to build it. Not in this game. No. Ryze isn't going to build it. ODOAMNE is not going to build it.
That's what you think. But no, Unicorns of Love are just trying to get something done. They take down the inner turrets in the middle lane. They have one left in the top lane, but it's just trying to crack the base is the hardest thing.
They're just waiting for this massive wave on top to hit the tier 2 tower and then rotate up through the jungle and get some damage on the tower. At this point here, these tier 2 towers and tier 3 ones, they go down super, super quickly. But you need those minions, so like, it's about 5 waves on top side from Unicorns, so there's a fight bot lane.
Chachi is getting shredded up by ODOAMNE. They've taken so much damage, but he's actually turning it around. Now the heal comes out, and Rudy is a little too late to save his ally. The true damage, and ODOAMNE gradually slicing away at this Void Beast, and down goes Rek'say, the double kill in for ODOAMNE.
You got the big wave top here, so Unicorns trying to get a tower for the 2 kills, but this should buy enough time for H2K to stop Unicorns from pushing any further than this and give them some map control, because again, you got 40 seconds now to make something happen if you are H2K. Dragon is up in a minute. I don't think any team really care about it, because we only have 2 dragons at max for H2K, so it's going to be a really long game if you go 5 dragons here. But instead, I mean, you have 2 open inhibitors in the base. Bot lane tower, ODOAMNE can take that one down super quick. 25 seconds on Chachi and Rudy combined. H2K will be able to crack open the base again.
Vander pushing in the mid lane, trying to take away some of these open inhibitors. And this is the big counterplay we could see coming in. 9 seconds left on Chachi, another 10 on Rudy. Steelback cannot afford to go down here. ODOAMNE, grand challenge. Maybe they can get the burst up, but Jankos, has he gone a little too deep? We'll see in a second. ODOAMNE now chasing after Steelback, and Jankos will be backing away still with Landris Bite in hand, but Chachi is back from base. The overextension, the overstay from H2K. He's being rapidly punished. Chachi trying to get in range for a Rune Prison Gravity Field. Will stymie that just a little. Rudy, there's no slow from Prey Seeker, and Chachi is still trying desperately, but H2K are ultimately away.
So H2K get to disengage. They got 1 inhib down. Gave up a kill for it. Baron is a minute now. It's constantly going to update you guys because it's so important late game with this Baron when it spawns, and it's easy to lose track of the time.
Yeah, give me the constant updates.
So, okay, I'm going to say like 50 seconds now.
0.4 seconds, yeah.
ODOAMNE is going to be alive for it. So literally he died at the best time ever. Just in time to respawn with teleport and be ready for Baron. but it does mean Unicorns can set up vision around it. You see Rudy get a ward around the red buff. You should get one near the Raptor as well here. And then you start having enough control of the enemy jungle to see when H2K moving in. The game took a massive chunk of damage there.
Yeah, there's also triple blue wards available from Unicorns of Love, so even if H2K starts it, which actually Unicorns are going straight forward, they're going to rush it as soon as it spawns. All these sort of options for Rudy.
There's no vision, and 3 guys are sitting mid, kind of telling H2K, oh, we're not on Baron. No, we definitely didn't start Baron at all.
The jungler.
And trying to pressure them to not walk in here and stop it. ODOAMNE has TP, he's coming in now.
Chachi may be caught up here, he'll jump to an ally. Steelback is caught up, and Jankos, he's trying to finish him off. He's there with ODOAMNE, he's been challenged. One more sweep with the rapier, and he goes down. Rudy tries to save his ally, but he's too late again. That's a 2-4-1. H2K now closing in on the base. The recalls are coming in from Unicorns of Love.
This might be game, Pulse, because there's no AD carry now. At least Baron, then
that's
game,
smart.
you know? Let's see.
So they just recalled. Unicorns of Love moved away from the Baron, and H2K instantly swap up, move towards the Baron. They should be able to take it because they now have the positioning.
Yeah, H2K still had one dead member. That's why they couldn't finish. I got a little bit ahead of myself here. I'm just calling what's going to happen in, like, you know, 3 minutes time or whatever with the Baron.
Running the profit
Maybe. I
build.
think in this game it's impossible to say right now. With so many back and forth. It's fun though we saw with ODOAMNE in that side lane where he killed Chachi. It's what we talked about earlier. Once you get enough sustain and tankiness on their Fiora where you can survive the burst from Ryze, you will just start out-sustaining him in the 1v1. That's exactly what happened. He picked up that kill. That's what allowed H2K to get inhib. He then died in time to actually respawn for Baron just when it respawned itself, and then he could join in. But Unicorns, every time they've gone Baron, it's been super, super risky. And I want to say it's been fairly poor shot calling around the Baron itself. Because it's been a lot of like, do we commit to the Baron? Do we disengage? What do we do if H2K moves in? Like the last one here where Steelback is suddenly running in from mid lane. Completely split up from his team late game, and H2K just jumps him instantly. You can't escape from Fiora, man. The cooldown is so low. She would just constantly chase you.
So in that last Baron, similar to the first one we saw, do you think Unicorns of Love should have just committed and then have H2K maybe go for the 50-50, but maybe it's more swayed over to Unicorns of Love? They probably had a better chance of getting it because the reaction time for H2K was fairly small. They placed the ward over when it was at 4,000 health.
So this one, because it was on 4k HP and Steelback wasn't there, I actually don't think they could have committed for it and they should just have backed away. But that's why you then, as a team, you just back away and say, okay, we tried. The trick, it didn't work. Let's just disengage it and not take a team fight where we completely split up from the start. So that was the problem for them. They kind of first wanted to trick the Baron. That got spotted by H2K and then they committed to the fight when they weren't in position to actually fight because obviously the AD carry was on the other side of the map, basically.
Man, Rudy has only died twice up until this game. Alright, he's only played 2 games, but he's died 7 times in this game. Most of them have been trying to save his allies, but sometimes they were the incorrect call. But you can just see how messy this game has been for both teams, just based off their previous track records against other teams. Really exciting to see these two guys go head-to-head on the final day before everything resets and the teams play each other again.
Yeah, both teams have a very, very interesting weekend where H2K are playing G2 tomorrow for first place. We would assume if H2K are able to finish this game. And then, obviously, Unicorns of Love take on Fnatic, who they're trying to keep under them in the standings because Unicorns want to stay as a top 3 team for sure. So very, very tough opponent for both teams this week. And let's see what happens here. Hylissang onto Selfie. He's very far forward.
Fox jumps in, very aggressive with Spirit Rush. He still has to use these charges to make something happen. Rudy, I'm not sure if that was the best decision. Chachi coming in from the side of the flank. Maybe it's enough damage, but he has to back away. ODOAMNE wants him dead. Grand challenge, there it is. Popped off. Chachi is down for 70 seconds. And Fox may also be falling here. He'll back to base. H2K, this is looking very good for them.
And we saw almost everything in that last fight we have talked about already in this game. How they're trying to catch one target from the Unicorns of Love, but then Vander denies it. He eats Selfie, so he stays alive. And then Chachi tries to go aggressive. He's not tanky enough as a Ryze, and H2K can focus him down in time and kill him. 2 inhibs gone. Nexus turrets are still alive. This bot lane tier 2 tower is still standing there laughing at H2K. ODOAMNE might find Rudy here.
Literally just walks up to him. Crazy because it's like, I see you. ODOAMNE has to back off, but we'll take the red buff. So Unicorns of Love are making sure that H2K do not get everything from this play. pushing them all the way back.
It's the Rift Scuttle they're gonna fight over.
Yeah.
Ah, H2K got it.
15 seconds left on Chachi. He's got the teleport. This might be a punish for Unicorns of Love based on the death timers. Selfie actually does not get hit up by the charm there, and Jankos will finish off the mid laner of Fox. Forgiven coming out. ODOAMNE is back into the fight before Chachi. Everyone is going down. Hylissang and Rudy are backing away. Here comes the teleport. Is it too little? Is it too late? It is. And Jankos will be coming in here. ODOAMNE jumping over the wall, and that'll be the tunnel from Rudy. He's even going to go back to base with the Void Rush. 3 for 2 overall. The idea was there, but the timing was off.
Yeah, Unicorns wanted to just keep chasing and then have Chachi TP in, hopefully behind H2K with home guards, because Selfie was low. Everyone was kind of hurt after that fight, but ended up trading very early. And then ODOAMNE is able to TP in himself. He's become very, very strong on this Fiora here in the late game in every single fight. And now they're pushing out double super minions. Chachi is there to try and defend.
Oh, he's got the AoE and he gets stunned down. There's the QSS. Rudy, unfortunately, it's not Tahm Kench, but all these people are going out of here with the Zhonya's coming up. ODOAMNE is underneath this tower. Rudy is going to get finished off. There's the Grand Challenge heal. There's enough to keep him alive. Fox is coming up with 7, but it's not soon enough. H2K's Jankos and ODOAMNE close in on Unicorns of Love's Nexus, and they'll be taking it down. They take the victory.